Going live. We've got the little spinny circle. So it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Money Moves for September 7th, 2021. I can't believe this year's flying by. It seemed like 2020 was like the year from hell, literally. Just drug on and, and then 2020 we jumped in both feet and it's like, zoop, it's going by.
It's going.
Yeah, I know, right? How are you doing today, Wendy, after our Labor Day weekend?
I had a great Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Went one day at the lake, which is my favorite place to be. It's always inspirational because that's like my vision board is the lake house.
There you go.
My goals, I know what it takes to get from here to the lake house, and I know I can do it in 4 months. So I just got to do the work. So I got that. So being there is inspirational. And then took my kids to a little diving hole on a river / giant creek. I don't know what you call it. I guess a river.
Oh, okay. So like you were actually diving in and splashing around and having fun with it. Okay. Did you go hiking or something or?
Yeah, it's called the Blue Hole near here. You hike and then it's about 1.1 miles in. And then the kids, there's this giant rock and they can jump into this deep part of the river.
Nice.
It's like when I say river, not like a big boating river, like a kayaking river.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it's just, there's one spot that it's super blue water and really deep and it's really cool. So.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. We had a pretty good weekend too. Ended up hanging around the house. My daughter came back from college. She's a freshman at school. And so we had a big family weekend, kind of low key, went and saw a movie. We saw that new movie, Free Guy. Awesome movie with Ryan Reynolds in it. So not to give a movie review on this, but it was good stuff. But it was a great low-key weekend. Got a bunch of house projects done and, just kind of all of the above. Just a very nice, relaxing weekend. But I'm fired up today to be talking about some stuff. And I had some questions pop up over the weekend, which is really, I had something planned for today and I scrapped it because I wanted to talk about this. So we're going to be talking about, building your nest egg. That's kind of the mantra of what we do. And for those of you that are new to this show, Money Moves is all about a couple of different things. It's all educational. We're not talking about, buy this or buy that, but we're trying to give tips and tricks that you can use to build your wealth. So we talk about how do I make more money, right? How do I increase it through side hustles, things like that. We also talk about how do I save more money? I hear a lot of times, I'm a planner and when I sit down with people on their finances, and the one excuse I keep hearing is I can't afford to save enough. Well, you can't afford not to save. So it's all about, how do I enable myself to be able to save? Okay. Yeah. And then the third piece is, okay, now that I am saving money, I want to make sure I'm growing that money and keeping it safe. And that's the last one. How do I protect my money from market loss? There's ways you can do it. How do I protect it, a number of different ways. And this almost today goes back, what we're talking about today is going to focus a little on 3, the growing part, and a little on protecting part as well. It's kind of a 2 for 2 birds, 1 stone. Mm-hmm. So you look at that, and it's all about gold and silver, right? So we're going to talk about gold and silver and how it can play, or should it play, a role in your retirement strategy, in your wealth building strategy. So Wendy, I'm going to kind of toss that back over to you. I want to see if I can turn down I got some background noise going on, but gold and silver, what do you think?
Okay, so I'll be honest, I don't know a ton. I know everyone's saying we're going to go back to that. I know that, I don't know if you remember, and well, I'm sure you do, right? All of a sudden, there were all those buying your gold places. Mm-hmm. And when was that? I can't remember what year time frame.
Every time, it's around 08, it's 08. Whenever there's a big panic, all of a sudden gold and silver come back on the radar.
So my mom had this giant thick gold necklace, and we were at one of those, they had gold parties, like we were at a party. Hold on. Hey, I'm on a call, you need to wait. Anyway, I have kids knocking on the door. It seems that every Tuesday, my daughter has these little procedures at the hospital and they're always on Tuesdays. They're not every Tuesday, but sorry, John. So I have.
Yeah, that's okay.
Parenting. But anyway, she had this big, thick gold necklace from the 80s. It was like, and we got paid like $400 for it. You guys, what that would be worth today. Oh, gosh. And we were all pumped that we would get $400 or $800. I don't know. It was less than $1,000. But we were all excited about And it was heavy anyway, but I remember we had gold parties. Literally would go to people's house and dump out all our junk and our one earrings and all that and then get paid for it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, things still go on like that today. I don't know about gold parties, but you can take gold, and there's a lot of different places out there, pawn stores, things like that, where they'll actually buy it, and you'll see big signs, we buy gold, we buy silver, and most places where they buy gold, they'll buy silver too. It's precious metals, is what it's called, right? And typically you'll see that as far as, hey, I want to sell it and and make a little money to pay some bills or whatever, but. There's a way to do it in a way that, you need to understand how it's done in order to add that kind of addition, if you will, to your investment strategy. Now, personally, I don't look as gold and silver as a quote unquote investment. Okay. Because it's not. I mean, you mentioned we went off the gold standard. We're talking about going back to the gold standard. Well, what happened? Nixon took us off the gold standard. Back in the day, right, you could take your dollar and trade it in paper money for actual silver money or coinage, in gold or silver. Obviously, that gets very heavy and things like that. And there's a whole history behind it. But I think it was in 1971, he literally took us off the gold standard. And now our dollar bills are based on national debt, right, which that's a whole other conversation for the day. But gold and silver has always held its value. So well, how is it that gold keeps going up and, down? Why wouldn't it be an investment? Because I buy stocks, it goes up, I make money if I sell it at that point, and, this, that, and the other. Gold and silver are more of what's called a hedge against inflation. Okay. And what I mean by that, and I'll probably have some people blowing me up on social media. Oh, I disagree. And that's fine. We can agree to disagree. But if you look at gold, for example, and back in the day, it used to be, hey, you could sell it for $400 or whatever. But you've also got to look at what does inflation do to our dollar, okay? And we all know inflation will eat into your buying power of your dollar bill every year. On average, it's about 3%, 2.5% to 3%. Right now, we're sitting at about 5.5%. So it's jumped up over the last few months. So that means our dollar is buying less, less at the store, right? You've seen it at the grocery store. Go try to buy a car right now or whatever the case may be. Mine was my car actually had to have repairs done. And I was waiting literally for a month for this computer thing to come in, this sensor to come in so they could actually put it in my car. So because, the supply chain's interrupted and things like that. So flash back to the inflation piece, you lose buying power every year. So what a gold or silver purchase does is actually stores your buying power in that instant. It freezes your buying power. Okay. Meaning, like this is a gold coin, right? It's a 1 ounce silver or gold coin. It says $20 on it. Obviously worth a lot more than $20. I think it's like about $1,700 right now at the time we're doing this. But that was actually purchased in 2000 for $300. And that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So $300 back in 2000 is going to buy a lot more than $300 today. $300 today isn't really going to buy a whole lot. So that's what's happened. You've bought that, you've stored that buying power in a piece of metal that's been proven for over 2,000 years, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I move the water a whole lot more?
No, you just made it clear for me. Because I hear people say that like when I hear people talk about it, it's more of a security. So what you're saying makes sense to me. Like don't put it in the banks, put it in gold and silver, like gold and silver. And I've heard a few people talk about it being an investment, but I'm thinking if you're buying gold and silver, it's not really something that you're like, oh, in a couple, I'm going to watch it every month or every year and buy and sell accordingly, right? It's more of like, it's a way. I look at it like security. It's a way in case you need it, in case the world goes crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly, ideally, if you look at your overall portfolio, right, you should look at having around 10%. If, so say you've got $100,000, just to use that number, or $200,000 saved up. So you should have, if you've got $100,000, about 10,000 of it should be in precious metals, and that's going to be either platinum, which is very expensive, gold, or what most people like is silver, right? And the reason I like silver, there's a couple different reasons. Number one, it's cheaper, right? So everybody can get into it. I mean, I've talked to people about go buy a silver coin every week, or every paycheck, just buy one. If that's all you can afford, just buy one, start putting some away. And the next thing you know, you buy if you get paid every 2 weeks and you're buying 1 ounce of silver, by the end of 1 year, you got 26 ounces of silver, right? And you do that for a few years, all of a sudden, and you're not missing a whole lot. I mean, a lot of people, you can buy them online and stuff like that. And there's all these clearing houses and stuff. But you can go into a lot of local jewelry stores. I've got a couple people that I trust to purchase this stuff from. But you can go in and buy. This is called a peace dollar, and that's it's not a complete 1 ounce because it's only 90% silver, but there's silver in here, and I think I paid at the time for $15 for this. So it's something that anybody can do.
I never knew that you can like go in a place and buy it.
Yeah. Now you want to find the right place, and there's a lot of places, and I see them on Marketplace and on eBay. Buy this, and there's a lot of fraud that goes on, especially in the silver realm, right? They'll put a piece of basically lead and they'll put silver plating on it to make it look like it's silver, but it's actually pretty worthless. When you come to this, you got to be real cautious on that stuff. And then you can also have what's called silver certificates and things like that. There's companies out there where I've got silver and it's in storage in Delaware somewhere. I don't want that. That's not what I want. I want to have it in my house, in a safe, or at least my safety deposit box at the bank or something like that, to keep it safe from fire and whatnot as well. But yeah, so there's a lot of different things you can do. So, as far as going back to what you were saying, though, I mean, I'm sure you've got gold and silver around the house and things like that, right?
I mean, this is silver. It's teeny tiny, but it's silver.
No, that stuff adds up,
And platinum.
Yeah, exactly. So there's, grandma's jewelry and stuff like that. And, it can be used for a lot of different things, right? So you got gold, you got silver, and the way I like to buy silver, you can buy it, like I said, a bunch of different ways, right? Walk into a store. Have you ever been to a pawn store?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of times you can ask them, hey, do you have any or junk gold, right? Not really junk gold, but junk silver. Okay. And what they mean by that is, do you have any old coins? Okay. The silver dollars and stuff like that. I'm sure you've seen them. Now there's 2 types of old coins out there. There's one that, a guy like me is going to look for, and probably like you as well. Meaning I don't care, that it's a fancy coin and this is the year and blah, blah, blah. And it's the 1 of 100 that had the backwards emblem on. I'm looking strictly at what's the silver value of it. What's the silver content of it, right? And if you guys have some questions as you're watching this, please put them in the post below. We'll answer them. But I think this is a great way for you to kind of shore up your investment strategy overall. We're talking about gold and silver today, and then also, how do you get this stuff? Where do I go and find it? Because there's a lot of it out there, and how do I know what it's worth? I don't want to pay too much for it, and things like that. So I'm getting some text questions too from people. That's awesome. So you look at this.
Y'all can type it in the chat, right?
I know, right? It's chat. I'm going to get a little distracted by this, but show me how to buy this. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So you look at gold and silver, and how do I buy it? Well, again, number one, I need to know that I can trust the place. So go to a reputable business. There's some online companies that you can buy in bulk and in coinage and things like that. That's the first place. Don't just go spend a bunch of money because you found somebody on Marketplace. Okay. If you do, make sure you have somebody with you that knows what they're doing, or you have a metals tester, and there's actually little things you can do to test to see if it's real, right? The second thing is kind of decide what you're trying to do. Having a bunch of gold around is great, but it's pretty expensive. It's, I think, like I said, it's around $1,700 an ounce, and know what the cost is, right? Which I'm going to explain that here in a minute. I should have looked at that before I got on here. And then, decide how much you want to have, and then also where are you going to keep it? Okay. Because you don't necessarily want to have it just sitting around the house, right? Especially if you don't have a safe or anything like that, or if the house burns down or gets burglarized, you don't want to have that. So you look at, okay, I can keep it in a safety deposit box. Banks today still have the big safes in the back. Not every one of them, right? You're not going to go to the local branch at Walmart, but you can go to an actual bank branch, and I'm sure you've seen that too. So what other questions do you think you would have if you were looking at this, Wendy, kind of brand spanking new? And yeah, I could probably see picking up some silver. I mean, what questions would you have?
Yeah. I mean, that would be the biggest thing is where to buy it and what to start with. So, I mean, what you answered, doing the silver, because I mean, yeah, gold's so expensive right now. I mean, that's a big chunk of money. But I think, and do we need, I guess my other question was, what's the risk involved in purchasing in gold and silver, or is there any?
Well, there's risk in everything, but the risks are obviously super low. I mean, as far as let's kind of break that down. So let's talk about the risk factor first. Number one, what is the risk? Well, I could pay too much for it. Okay,
Right.
that's number one risk. Right now, you've got a lot of people. When silver was going up, all of a sudden it was like people wanted it because they knew it was going up. I mean, it's predicted to go up to $40, $50, an ounce, which is huge for silver.
Mhm.
And silver is one of those metals. Gold is typically bought and stored. It's used in a little bit. Silver is bought, stored, but it's also bought and used by a lot of, your phones and a lot of different, medicines and things like that have actual silver in them. So it's consumed a lot by the commercial industry. But as far as the value, paying too much for it would be one of the big risks, or getting ripped off. Making sure that you're, again, going back to making sure you're buying from a reputable place. Because I've seen, horror stories. I'm in a couple of silver stacking groups, and that's what they call it when you're stacking your silver, right? Like stacking dollars, where, they bought from XYZ on eBay. There's a lot of swindlers out on eBay, unfortunately, where that's just the world we live in. And they would get this and they would, test it, and it turned out to be fake. Yep. Right. You spend a lot of money that's on worthless stuff. So that's really the only risk, because it's something, again, it's not so much of the value of that going down or whatever, it's how the dollar is going to respond to it. So when the dollar is strong, traditionally those metals have been a lower cost, and that's a great time to buy. Right. That's a great time to buy, and your dollar's stronger. So it's a good, it's a good time for that too, because you're going to get more bang for your buck. So the second question you had is, where can I get it? Right. Well, there's a lot of, bullion sites out there. Again, do your homework. And, I bought some from companies like that too, where they'll send you the 1 ounce silver coin. They're not real coins, but they're a 1 ounce pressing of, 99 or 999 pure. You've seen that in movies, in gold bars and stuff, where, you can buy those silver bullion and gold bullion. And it doesn't even have to be US. I've got a coin. I was going to bring it and show it. That was an Australian dollar, right? And so that's something that you've got that option as well. But for most people, find a local jewelry store. I've got a couple of guys that I buy from, and you go in and talk to them, say, hey, look, I'm looking at junk silver. Now there's a couple things you need to know before you do that. Number one, make sure they're reputable, like anything, right? Number two, you've got to know what's called the spot price on gold and silver.
So how do we figure out, what things worth?
So you can go on the internet, right, and look, but it changes quite frequently. So I have an app that I use. It's free. I love it, right? And it may vary by a little bit, but it's called Coinflation. Okay.
Downloading it now.
Coinflation, yeah. And it'll tell you, like right now, silver is at $24.25 per ounce. Okay. And it's actually down. That's it right there. Yep. That's it. Coinflation. And gold is just under 1,800 at $1,794. Now, a couple of weeks ago, it was sitting at 1,500. It's dropped $29 an ounce today. Now, again, it's not dropped $29. The value of the US dollar has just gone up a little bit. But I love this and the fact that it gives you a lot of flexibility, because you can do silver coins, right? And again, if you're looking for silver coins, a lot of people say, well, all coins are silver. Well, they have silver content. So you want pre-1964, that's going to get your biggest bang. Now, there were some coinage, I think it was the $50 that went out to 1967 that have a little bit of silver in them. But I'm talking dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollars, 1964 and prior. Here's the cool thing. You still see dimes. I found one a couple of weeks ago. It was pre-1964. It was in my change.
Yeah.
And
now, that's probably worth more than a dime, right?
Oh, it's worth a lot more than a dime.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. It's
64.
Yeah, 1964 and prior. So if it's 64 and prior, that's what you want to look. So just always look at your change and things like that.
A random question.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with silver, gold, but somebody said that if you melt a penny, the copper is worth more than the penny itself. Is that true?
That is true. That is true. Now, again, there's a year on that, right?
Okay.
You know, there's a year on that, 1982 and prior.
Okay.
So yeah, I think a penny, and you can actually use the Coinflation app to come up with that. And
Yeah.
you'll hear a lot of people that, you know, oh, well, you can't melt down. It's illegal for you to melt down U.S. coinage and things like that. It is and it isn't. If you read the complete rule, you can actually legally melt down U.S. coins. Now, you know, I'm not saying go out and start melting down coins by any means. There are already a shortage of coins out there. But again, 1982 on the pennies. Now, you've got to save a lot of pennies in order to make that happen. And it's the copper prices and that. But going back to the silver piece, looking at pre-64 dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollars. Okay. Nickels, not so much. They had a little bit of a different blend in that.
Mhm.
But, you know, you look at those coins and they're worth something, you know, you can pick those up fairly easily. And the dimes especially.
Mhm.
So,
So what's everyone going to do when they get off this call right now? Go look it up.
go look, right? Go look. And, you know, again, use Coinflation,
Yeah.
kind of figure out what it is. Now, I will tell you, and this is a mistake that I made, okay, when I went in and started buying coins. I started working with some dealers this way. You want to work with a reputable dealer, but they'll have coins called slicks. Okay. And if you've ever seen a really, really old coin, you know how they get worn down? They get slick, right? Well, what that really is and why it's so important on a current coin, it's no big deal because it's just, you know, junk metals and stuff like that in there. It's not a big deal. But on a silver coin, when those get slick, that means there's less what?
Less
Silver in the coin. So, you know, you can buy slicks, but again, don't pay spot price for them. And it's rare that you're going to find somebody actually selling at spot. Okay. So for example, spot on a silver coin right now, or a silver ounce is going to be $28. Okay. They may charge you 29 or 30 because they got to make some money on it too. They've got to make a little profit on it. You follow me? Even though they may have bought it, you know, at 15 and they're making profit there, it's currently worth this. So they're going to sell it for a little more of that. So you've got to kind of determine that as well. Don't expect that you're going to pay spot. Now, some will charge one over. I've got a guy I buy silver from, and no, I'm not going to tell you who it is, that I pay $1 over spot. Okay. He's like, all I needed, that's fair for me because he buys a lot of it. And so he's making it up on volume and things like that. And then he'll do the same thing. But, you know, when you go to sell your silver, don't expect to get spot price for it either because they're going to come in and they're going to take a little margin there for themselves to protect themselves. But, you know, that's kind of where you find it. But they're all over the place. And you can also buy these, you know, this is a 1 ounce Ignet, right? Or Ignat, whatever you want to call it, right? A 1 ounce piece. That's, again, just 1 ounce of 999 silver. And this is where you start seeing a lot of the fraud. So again, make sure you're buying the right place. And they come in 1 ounce, 5 ounce, 10 ounce little bricks. And you can pick one up for, you know, $15-$20 depending on what spot price is.
So I've always had in my head that if I wanted to invest in gold and silver, I had to go online, like spend 5 or 10 grand, and they're going to put like gold and silver bricks in a vault for me somewhere.
Well, some of them do that, right? And again, I don't want that gold.
In my mind, I'm like, no, I want to go buy some now.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, and it doesn't have to be a major commitment, right? You know, it's something where, okay, hey, I want to allocate. If I've got it, I want to hit that 10% mark. I want to allocate this every paycheck. And I think everybody should have gold or silver in their portfolio, right? Again, I don't see it as an investment. That's me personally. What I see it is a hedge against the dollar. I mean, we've talked about inflation. Go out and Google economic challenges or economic fallout 2022 and just see what it says. That's all. I'm not telling you anything. Just go read it. And what that does is kind of protects you against that. And, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be Mad Max Armageddon and, you know, all of a sudden we're trading chickens at the local market or things like that for, you know, gold and silver, but you never know. But again, it's a great way to have some store of value put away because if the dollar does drop 30%, 40%, or you look at, you know, that gold coin purchased in 2000, that's 3% a year times 20 years. That's 60%. So that store of value stored 60% of the purchasing power I wasn't using anyway. So I just bought it, put it in a vault and saved it. And on a rainy day, I can use that, turn around and say, hey, this is what I want for it now. And now I can go out and buy, you know, food, or, hey, I've got a daughter getting married. I need to, instead of borrowing money or whatever the case, I can actually use that. So
Yeah.
great stuff.
I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
John.
Well, not a problem. And again, like I said, go out and just next time you're at a pawn store or you stop by a local jewelry store. Now, don't go into a Kay's Jewelers. That's not what I'm talking about, right? Or, Shane Co. or whatever. They're not going to have stuff like this. Go into a mom and pop jewelry store, and they're out there. There are a bunch of them out there. And
go to see Johnny and Franklin.
Yeah, there you go. Say, hey, Johnny, it's I'm looking to buy some more silver. What do you got? And again, for the reputable dealer, you can trust them. Find out what their price is. See if you can negotiate a little bit, right? But probably not. It's tough on precious metals because so many people are doing this. They're stacking their gold and silver, and then decide how much you want to buy. And obviously, the more you buy, push for a little bit of a bigger discount, right? And then make sure you go through it before you actually purchase it to make sure you minimize or eliminate any of those slicks that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very cool. Good info.
Yeah. So anybody can do it. If you've got 20, 30 bucks extra in your paycheck, start investing it or putting money away in silver. Not investing, putting money away in silver. So, all right, cool.
So,
all right.
Ready to go.
Yeah. So do me a favor. If you found some value in this, post a question. For those of you watching after the live video, make a point to ask some questions. There's some great information out there. One of the, if you follow Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of his team, I forget the gentleman's name, is a specialist in gold and silver. Download that Coinflation app. It's a great app if you're looking to do this stuff. And just start putting a little money here or there as you can, and start stacking some silver and stacking some gold. But again, do me a favor, like and subscribe to this channel. That helps keep our audience up. And again, if you've got a topic that you want to learn about that deals with money, how to make it, how to save it, how to keep it, or how to, protect it and grow it, let me know. Simply reach out to Wendy Lee or me and comment below, and we'll make sure we get your topic on air. Everybody have a great day and welcome back to the work week. Even though it's a short one, it's going to be a fun one. So thanks again, Wendy, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.